Welcome friends, once again. Now I've been spending a lot of time lately watching YouTube videos with battles being fought out using all the different rules that are out there for Tricolour wargaming, and there's a lot of them, about 30 I believe. Tricolour, which I'm very biased towards because I've been using it for the last 40 years, isn't in print anymore. And that's a shame, because I think it's actually one of the better sets of rules. It doesn't have cards telling you what you can or can't do. You don't have to roll fistfuls of dice. Not that I have anything against that, but it's just not the way I like to play the game. So, what I'm going to do today is show you how Tricolour works. It'll be a short video, because we're not actually going to fight a battle. I'm just going to show you how, when the troops get engaged, we use the rules to work out results. And hopefully you'll be interested and like that idea. If you do, I'm prepared to send you a free electronic copy of the Tricolour rules. You just have to send me an email address in the comments and I'll attach a copy of these rules and send them back to you. There are two videos I've made previously. One's called How to Get a Free Copy of Tricolour Rules, and the other one's called Let's Talk Points. And they're worth watching in conjunction with the rules once you have them. Alrighty, so let's get started and have a look at how Tricolour works. Oh, and if you like, please do subscribe. It's always rewarding for me to see new people joining up. Thank you. Okay, let's start with the French side. What I have here is a French regiment made up of 3 battalions. 1, 2, 3. Each battalion has companies of lights, but they're not out at the moment because there is a light battalion here and they are covering. There's cavalry here. They're very good cavalry today. They're grenadiers of the Imperial Guard. They have a heavy gun, and over here is the commander with his messengers. They're very important because that's the command and control aspect of the game. And there's a ammunition wagon. Now, in Tricolour, we've made 3 possible ways to win. One is to chase the enemy off the table. The second one is to capture the commander. And the third one is to take or destroy the ammunition train. Okay, so that's just a typical little French setup. And now the Allies today, we have a regiment of Brunswick troops, 1 battalion, 2 battalion, 3 battalion, and they're lights out the front. They have rifles, and I'll explain how that works in a second. They're backed up by a Scottish regiment, Scottish regiment, not British, but Scottish, and Hussars, British Hussars. That's their supply train, and they have a medium gun, not a heavy, and there's the commanders there with their messengers. So it's just a very small example of this. This is only a skirmish at best. Okay, so that's the opponents today. Okay, just to clarify a couple of things. At the start of a game, the scenery is put down so that no person can get an advantage from it. Each opponent rolls a dice. The highest dice is the defending side. They roll another dice to see where they're defending, left, right of the table, or at either corner. That having been decided, the defender sets up. That's his advantage to use whatever terrain he likes. The attacker then gets to set his army up in the attack formation that he wishes. That's just an easy way to make sure that everything's fair. Okay, so that's step 1. Now, all right. The first step is orders. For units to advance, they need orders. To do defensive actions, they don't. But since the French have to attack, the commander writes his orders. We generally do this on a piece of paper and keep it. And the messengers can go 21 inches. So there's the commander. The messenger arrives at the light troops out the front with the orders, and the orders are obviously for them to advance. As you've seen from the copy of the orders previously shown, the next thing to happen is heavy guns, then infantry, heavy cav, light infantry, horse guns and light cavalry, which we only have some of these things on the table today. And the reason for this order of movement is the heaviest things move first, and the things that can react move last. And that way we stopped a lot of arguments about who would be doing what when. It's a bit like a game of chess, you have to think ahead. Okay, so let's see how the artillery actually works. We'll fire a shot with the French heavy gun, and we'll be firing at the Brunswick troops there. So the range is 24 inches. Let's see how that works. Okay, as you can see, at 2 feet, a 6 was rolled on a 6-sided dice, which was a good shot, and that's 5 casualties. Now, because they're in line, that's cut in half, so it's 2, always rounded down. So it's 2 casualties come out from the artillery fire. Okay, the French medium gun, the Allied medium gun now wishes to fire at the French lights in front of it, and so it does. And as you can clearly see from the photo, the at 2 feet, a 4 was rolled on a 6-sided dice, which is a casualty of 3. Now, because they're not in column, it's cut in half, that's 1.5, but they're in open order. So it's cut in half again, that's 3/4, which is nothing. So that particular shot misses as far as creating a casualty. Now, let's imagine, if we will, just for a sec, that both of those guns, the French and the Allied guns, wanted to do counter battery on each other. Now we know the range is 2 foot. Let's have a look at how that would work. Okay, so you need 2 dice for counter battery work, and with the heavy gun at 2 foot, you saw that the dice roll needed to be a 6. That is not 6 and under, that is 6 exactly. Counter battery is difficult, and it really was in real life. There were examples I've read where any gun knocked out by cannon fire, actually the number of balls that were used to knock it out was the weight of the gun. Bit of trivia there. Alrighty, so we roll for the heavy gun, and they needed to roll a 6, and believe it or not, they actually rolled a 6 after my just telling you how hard it was to do. So that would have been knocked out. The British light gun firing back was a 5, and they rolled a 3. Can you see that? Yeah, 3. Alrighty, so that's how counter battery works, and in that example, that heavy gun would have knocked the medium gun out on the first shot, which is very bad luck for the Allies. Okay, so working down the order of movement, we now move to infantry, and the French have not received any orders to move their infantry. So we go down then to heavy cav, nothing. The only order that's been given is for light infantry, and they would now move out. So light infantry, everyone moves onto the field with their muskets loaded. Light infantry can go 12 inches and fire. To reload a musket is half a move, so take that off your distance movement. So the light infantry will advance the 12 inches that they can. And that puts them in range of the Brunswick rifles. And the distance is from the back rank forward is 6 inches. 6 inches is medium range. Point blank is 0 to 3, 3 to 9 is medium, 9 to 12 is long range. So they're both in medium range. Now let's see how musketry works. Okay, so the French have 8 and 8 is 16 and 4 is 20. They're elites. So as per the characteristics, elites fire 3 is 4, 3 6s are 18. So they've got 26 firing points. Now the rifles only fire 1 as 1. It's just the Brunswick national characteristics. But they take twice as long to load, even though they're quite accurate. So the smart move is for every second man to fire, so that way they can keep a continuous fire going. So they would be firing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 fours are 20 there, but they're going to fire 10. Because they're rifles, if muskets fire at medium range, rifles fire at point blank. So let's just have a look at this. Okay, as per a photo of the rules, you can see that 26 points at medium range, they rolled a 4, kills 9. But they're in open order, so you cut that in half and 4 go down. Now firing back, as we said, every second one would fire so they can have a continuous rate of fire, that's 10. They also rolled a 4, but they're at point blank range because of the accuracy of the rifle, and that was 5. Now again, because they're in open order, it's cut in half, so 5 go down to 2, and the French lose 2. So that's how light troops engage each other. And they would keep that up until the infantry arrived. They would never go to point blank range for muskets. As the infantry arrive, they would fall back in line with the infantry and add their fire to that. Now let's just have a look at infantry advancing. All right, so this battalion from the French regiment has advanced. Obviously they've been given orders by the commander. They would have been written out by a messenger, and they've gone forward to attack the Brunswicks on the hill. Now, there are 36 individual figures on the table, but 12 of those are elites, which fire 3 as 4. So if you take the 36 and add on an extra 4, you get 40, and that's the number of firing points that those French have. So we roll a dice, and the dice came up 1, which is all right. It still killed 12 of the Brunswicks. So now the Brunswicks get to fire back. Now, the Brunswick battalion has 32 troops. Their battalions were a bit smaller than the French. And they rolled a dice and they rolled a 3. So in this exchange, this volley, the French killed 12 Brunswicks and the Brunswick killed 10 French. So it's sort of actually fairly even at this point. Can you see the gaps appearing in the French battalion? Same as if we move this around, you can see some gaps appearing in the Brunswick battalion. And this is, to me, one of the most important aspects of these rules, is that you actually take your casualties off, and you can see how your battalions are going, how your army's going, and it gives you an idea as a commander what tactics you might need to do, reinforce or retreat them back, or whatever you decide to do. But that's one of the aspects of this game that I actually really like, is the fact that you do take your casualties off. Okay, so the next manoeuvre, let's assume they go in with the bayonet. The Brunswicks come down off the hill and attack the French. We count up the number of French, and each one is worth 1 point for melee, except the Grenadiers, they're worth 2 points a man, which gives the French a total of 32 melee points. The Brunswicks are worth 1 point each, and there's 22 of them. So you've got 22 points against 32 points. Now, as a fraction, that works out to 1.45. The 5 changes the 0.4 up to 5. It's 1.5. It would be 2 to 1 in the French favour if it went over 1.5. 1.6 would automatically kick it up to 2 to 1 in favour of the French. But at this stage, it's 1 to 1. Either side can win. So we'll now roll a 6-sided dice. And I don't know if you can see that, I rolled a 4, and we'll have a look at what 4 does for us. Now, as you can see per the melee table, 1 to 1, and there's a top section of the square and a bottom section. The French take the top section because they've got the most points, and the Brunswick takes the bottom one. A 4 was rolled, and in that it says that the top section, which is the French, get a 5 and a disorderly retreat. Now, what's the 5 mean? Well, you roll a 6-sided dice again, and in this case it came up with a 5. So you multiply that 5 by the roll of the dice. That's 5 5s are 25, and that's your percentage of casualties of the smaller force. So it's a quarter, 25% is a quarter of 22. So 4 6s, 4 5s are 20. 5 casualties to the French. We'll take those out now. 4 and 1 is 5. And the same is done for the Brunswicks, so we'll roll for them. Oh, a 4 on the dice. Where is it there? A 4. So 4 5s are 20. That's a fifth. So a fifth of 22 is 5 4s are 20. So they lose 4 in the melee. Okay. Now, the French got a disorderly retreat, which means they turn and move 3 inches away. And a disorderly retreat is a red card. Where are we? That says turn and move 3 inches, and then 2 full moves and half a move to reform. So they can come back, but they've got to go 2 full moves in retreat. And that is how a melee is fought with infantry. Okay? Okay. It started raining, so I'm hoping that doesn't block out my speech too much. One thing we haven't looked at is canister. So what happens when infantry, in this case a Brunswick battalion, advances on a heavy gun? Well, we have a canister table. And the way this works is it's placed at the muzzle of the gun. and anything within the arc of the canister can be a casualty. You use that so that to make sure that none of your troops are in that arc, because if they are, you can't use it. Now, you measure the distance, and it's 9 inches. 9 inches is between half a foot and 1 foot. And with a heavy gun, as you can see, it's 3 dice. Now, it's the total of 3 dice, but because they're in line, it'll be cut in half. So let's just see what this adds up to. A 6, a 5, and a 4. That's 6, a 5, and a 4 is 15. So that canister, which was quite good, you could roll 3 ones, took out 7 casualties. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now, there is a melee factor with all of these troops. Of course, quality troops like Guard have a very high morale. They'll take a lot of casualties, and ordinary line is 50%. Now, all of this is recorded, and there's 32. Oh, can you see that? 32 men. You check at 16. So 3 out of 24. You don't have to check their morale. But if you did, you roll a 6-sided dice. A 1 or a 2, the morale holds. But each casualty after that, you have to keep checking. Anything else, they turn and retreat. Okay, so that's how canister works. And of course, for each size gun, the number of dice you roll is the key. This was a French heavy gun, and you've got 3 dice at that range. Okay. All right. Now, I know you're all waiting with bated breath to find out what happens when cavalry attack cavalry. Rightio. So, here we have the British Hussars, which are light troops attacking or being attacked by the French horse grenadiers of the Guard, heavy French cavalry. Okay, so this isn't going to work out too well, I don't think, for the Hussars. But the way we do it is you count up the number of units on each side, and they have a melee value, of course. So the British have 37 Hussars there, and the French have 34 horse grenadiers. Now, the British Hussars are worth 3 points a man in a charge, which they are, because they're lined up too deep. You need to do that to get the charge bonus. And that works out to 111 melee points. Now, the French have 34, but they're worth 6 points a man. There's no better cavalry on the table than these to get up to 6. And that works out at 204 points, which, when you do the division, comes out to 1.8, which of course is bumped up to 2 to 1 in the French favour. Now, we go to our chart, our melee chart, and you'll see a dice is rolled and a 3 came up. And a 3, the French take the top quarter of the square, of course, because they've got the most points, and the British are in the bottom quarter of the square with a 5D, D meaning disorder. Alrighty, now the end results of this is the French rolled a dice, and they multiplied their casualties by the 5, and it came out at 12 casualties. So that would have been by 6 minus 12, 30%. So they lose 12, 8 and 4 is 12. the British lose 9, 8 and 1. Now, in a disorderly retreat, if we take the 12 that have been lost off the French 34, they've got 22 left. With a disorderly retreat, every 2 gets to take another one. So that's 11 on to the 9. There's another 11 to come out. 8, 9, 10, 11. And they turn and move 3 inches away, just like the infantry did over there. But there is a slight difference. With cavalry, provided the distance that the cavalry can charge. Now these French can go 12 inches normally, and on a charge they get an extra distance bonus of 6 inches. They only get that provided they can reach the enemy within those 18 inches. Now, because both units were coming together, they only used up half of that. So the Hussars have moved away 3 inches. And it's because it's 2 to 1. If it was 1 to 1, they couldn't follow up, but 2 to 1, they get to follow up the maximum of their charge distance. But all they need is 3 inches. So they move the extra 3 inches. And by contacting those troops in retreat, contacted by formed cavalry, they're totally destroyed. So those Hussars are wiped off the board as a viable force for today. Those French heavy cavalry can then continue on finishing up their 18 inches. And if they run into anything else within that 18 inches, they can attack it as well. Otherwise, at the end of 18 inches, they have to stop and reform for half a move, the next move. Now, I'll admit, this is the hardest thing to work out and understand in Tricolour. But once you've done it once or twice, it actually becomes quite easy to understand. And that, my friends, is cavalry. Now, it's rather severe, especially because of the follow-up option. But cavalry battles can be, and I believe what the guy who originally wrote the rules would have been meaning for this is not necessarily they're all killed, but they're so dispersed and spread around the field in retreat that they're not a viable unit for the rest of the battle, and so they get taken off. And that's the kindest conclusion I can come for with it. Okay, so there you have it. That's every scenario that I can think of off the top of my head that these troops would engage in, and it certainly gives you a sort of a good view of how it might go. Like I said, I think if these rules were still in print, I think they'd be a lot more popular. I do like the way your casualties come out, and you can see how your units are performing. Anyway, they're not in print, so if you'd like a free copy, just give me your email address and I'll attach a PDF file for you, and you can have a look at it. Otherwise, we'll get back into some wargaming next time round. I just wanted to cover that aspect again, and as I said, there's 2 videos of mine called Talking Points and how to get a free set of rules, which go into some depth explaining how to set it all up. So do watch those, and please subscribe again, as it pleases an old man. All right, thanks. Bye for now.